About a year ago, I bought a budget electric chainsaw for my camping, and 12 months of stalling and frustration later, I had one question. Would I have been happier if I didn't buy this cheap chainsaw and bought a good quality manual saw instead? So I went online and I bought the Agawa Boreal 21 to put them both to the test. And in this video, we're going to see what happened. What's up everybody, I'm Eamon and welcome back to Bush Business. Today I'm going to be settling a massive debate. Budget power tools versus premium hand tools. On one end, I have my large Ozito battery powered chainsaw that I have owned for around 12 months now, and I really hated every second of using it. On the other side, I have my brand new Agawa Boreal 21 that I have purchased after watching many great reviews about it online, and I really can't wait to try it out. Because when you're away from home on a trip, you need to be able to rely on your gear. If you can't make firewood quickly and easily, you're going to have a pretty miserable, cold, boring night. Therefore, today I'm going to be taking you with me to the Watagans State Forest so you can see how these saws actually cut wood in the real world. Now here's the thing that makes this comparison video actually worth your time. Both of these cost me roughly the same amount of money and I paid for them myself without any sponsorship. So if you're putting together your travel kit and you're wondering if you should cheap out and buy a budget chainsaw like I did, or if you already own a great chainsaw but you don't always carry it with you, stick around because by the end of this video you might just find yourself a brand new favorite camping tool. Also a quick shout out, in my previous wheel bag video many of you asked to see more Australian made canvas bags. I already own a Drifter Stockton firewood bag, Australian made, and it's worked fantastic, but my Drifter doesn't have any carry straps and without those there was no practical way for me to do this video. So I reached out to Undercover Australia and they kindly supplied this 100% Australian made canvas firewood bag for the test. That way I can carry the firewood, my camera gear and my tools at the same time. So thank you Undercover Australia, you guys are absolute legends. To make sure this test was real, I intentionally didn't pack any of my firewood. I wanted to cook my steak tonight using only the firewood I collect myself. No firewood, no dinner. And test number one started out in the forest looking for a suitable dead tree to cut down. I found a pretty good tree. Thick and dense enough to make good firewood, but not so thick that I'm going to spend all night cutting it. This is also going to be the first time for me to use the Boreal 21, and I didn't have any idea what to expect. The Boreal made easy work of cutting the tree down and breaking it up into large manageable logs. And to be honest, it was actually kind of fun using it and a lot easier than I had imagined. It was fast, comfortable, and made clean cuts without any problems. A small tree like this should be a walk in the park for a good chainsaw. So I switched to the Ozito to cut the logs smaller so I can fit them in my firewood bag. And despite having fully charged batteries, the chainsaw just kept struggling and stalling. It actually took longer to cut the small logs than the Boreal did. And this highlights the biggest issue I've had with this chainsaw since owning it. I'm not really sure if this chainsaw is faulty or if it's normal, so please comment below and let me know what you are using and if you're having the same issues I'm having. With the warm-up done, and now I have a feel for the bow saw, it was time for a proper second test. And this is where Australia started doing Australian things. After I carried my firewood bag and gear back to camp, I wanted to see how these saws performed on a much thicker tree. And I found a log that's already been cut down and it was lying down on the floor, about 30 centimeters wide. The kind of wood that chainsaws are made to cut. And because of that this time around, I started off with the chainsaw, and again, it kept struggling and cutting out. I even switched to my second set of batteries that are fully charged, and you can actually hear the chainsaw spinning faster, but as soon as it hit the wood, it stalled again. I tried every trick in the book, no pressure, some pressure, different angles, using the tip, the middle and the base, and nothing changed the performance, it just kept stalling. Eventually, I gave up out of sheer frustration, not even making it halfway through the tree. So then I switched to the Boreal and it started working very well, even though it was quite tiring because the log was in an awkward position. To make things easier for myself, I decided to flip the tree over and start a fresh cut on the other side, but then as I moved it, the tree split and a massive spider charged at me. This spider was going nowhere, but I knew I was going somewhere. Straight back to my camp, leaving the spider alone. Test number 2 was officially over. 2 tests, 2 wins for the Boreal. The only thing that stopped the clean finish of that log was the angry spider and myself being scared of spiders. And on that note, before we move on, if you are finding this video useful so far, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. It costs you nothing, but helps me out. Moving on, the next day, I still felt like I had unfinished business. I wanted to do one final fair test to completely rule out the possibility that cutting the wood on flat ground was unfair for the chainsaw, and I found a tree that was off the ground, thicker than the first tree I cut down, but much smaller than the spider's house. And I started the test by cutting a section of it with the Boreal. It was easy, fast, comfortable, and again, I actually really liked it. It made me feel young again. Then I switched back to the Ozito with whatever battery I had left after the testing yesterday, and again it really struggled. It kept stalling and it barely made the cut in the end. A great demonstration of how it's performed again since I've owned it and why I've been frustrated with it. I switched back to the Boreal because I wanted to and it was a bit fun, and I cut one more segment and you can be the judge of how it performed in comparison. I guess there is a possibility that my chainsaw is faulty and that's why I'm having all these issues, but all this testing highlighted a massive advantage for the bow saw regardless. A manual saw is always going to work, any day, every day, where a cheap chainsaw gives you a very small window of opportunity to use the batteries at their maximum charge, and then it's going to stop working. And this brings me to the final verdict. When you're a traveler or a camper, reliability, space, and weight are everything. And when it comes to packing my Land Cruiser, the choice is pretty obvious. The Boreal saw fits right into my tray drawer, taking up almost no space. And that's where it's going to stay permanently, right beside my hatchet, ready to use within seconds whenever I need it. But to run the cheap chainsaw, you're going to need a bulky chainsaw unit that you can't strap down, you're going to need multiple batteries, 2 chargers, and a power board with an inverter and a 12-volt system just to keep the batteries topped up. It takes up important space in your canopy or car, and it also makes the inside of it dirty because it's going to drop sawdust everywhere. And this is in addition to the disappointment of spending hundreds of dollars only to be frustrated that you can't even cut enough firewood for you to cook your meal or stay warm at night. So here's the unfortunate, brutal reality if you're looking at buying a chainsaw. Unless you're going to be buying a quality saw and spending big money, having a quality handsaw like the Boreal 21 beats the cheap chainsaw in every way, shape, and form that matters. It stores compact, requires zero prior planning, and works perfectly in all conditions. Don't waste your money on a cheap chainsaw, buy a high quality bow saw instead. It's going to serve you for years, and unlike the chainsaw, it'll actually work when you need it. If you are interested in the Boreal or the Undercover Firewood bag, I have dropped links in the description below for you to check out. Finally, let me know in the comments below, would you rather deal with a stalling chainsaw, use a manual saw, or just avoid spiders altogether and buy your firewood instead? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.